right. Okay. So what if husband spanks 2-year-old and I don't agree? Here we go. My son is almost 3 and he is a handful, but he's not malicious. He's just wild. He's a cute and happy child, always smiling, but always getting into stuff and needing constant supervision, which drives my husband crazy. He is always yelling at him and needs constant breaks. My son had his biting stage, which is normal, and I'd been trying to correct it with redirection, but my husband kept insisting we need to bite him back so he knows what it feels like. We would argue about it, and I said no, I absolutely do not want him biting the baby. I wasn't home and my son bit him. He was biting when he wanted attention, and I'm sure my husband was playing games on his phone, ignoring him, expecting him to entertain himself. So my husband went ahead and bit him on the arm. He told me about it when I got home and I was furious. He still had teeth indentations on his arm. They faded shortly after, so he said it wasn't that bad. My husband is a really big, strong guy, and he has no idea how hard he does things. He tries to tickle me and it's literally painful. He doesn't understand how hard he's squeezing. So to me, it's even more important that he never, ever lay any sort of physical punishment. The kid is only 2. This is a toddler. He can really hurt him. He apologized, kind of, but maintained that we have different views. For a while now, he's been insisting that our son needs a whap when he does something wrong, and his parents keep telling him the same thing. Just give him a whap. They also encourage the biting. He's effing 2. He doesn't need to be hit. He has no concept of what he's even doing. He's still figuring it out. We have had arguments about this. I do not want spanking to be used as a punishment ever. It's weird. It's not productive in any way. And in my opinion, it teaches 0 lessons except that you can't really ever trust your parents because they're willing to hurt you. Source, I was spanked. When I say this, my husband suddenly turns into Archie Bunker. Not sure who that is.
That's an American. It's an old TV show. A character from an old TV show from like the 70s or 60s.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyway.
And starts this really annoying little speech about how he doesn't believe in this new age liberal bullshit. He has never voted and is not registered to vote, so I don't know where he comes up with this crap.
Boo this man. Go vote.
Everybody vote. The whole I was spanked and I turned out fine. He is not fine. Then how all his friends growing up were spanked. He's a guy and I don't understand because I'm a woman. Guys need this, he says. For months we have gone back and forth on this. My kid will do something wild and run away laughing, and my husband would grit his teeth and say, "Grr, I really want to hit him right now." In my opinion, that's exactly why he shouldn't spank him. He wouldn't even be doing it right if there is even a right way. He'd be hitting him in a rage. A few days ago, I wasn't home from work yet, and apparently my son grabbed our cat by the tail and pulled him, so my husband did it. He called me at work and said he gave him a whap, whatever the F that means. I don't know if it was on the butt, on the back. I'm assuming he grabbed him by the arm and spanked him, but I have no idea how hard or how many times. Yes, my husband did tell me, but he said he could just not have told me, I guess, to prove how great he is. Doing me a favor and telling me. I was so mad I cried. We had a big fight when I got home and again the next morning, yelling in front of my son. It was bad. I'm so confused. I feel like the frog slowly boiling metaphor. Would I jump out if I met this guy now, or am I just so enmeshed in this nonsense I can't even tell what's what anymore? Is this really just a difference in parenting styles, or is this something people divorce over? I'm worried about escalation. Who can I talk to about this? Should I find a couples counselor? Should I talk to his pediatrician and tell them what happened? I don't know where to turn.
Yeah, so this story is not, it's tough. I think the interesting thing about this is this guy is the poster boy, whatever, for why so many people are moving away from physical discipline for their kids, because this guy literally disciplines his child out of anger. He's making comments about how he just wants to hit him. He's talking about biting his kid back, which is...
And he did bite
really
him back.
Dumb. Like, what a dumb thing. Like, what is that exactly teaching? I don't really understand. And he's just really doing it wrong. But I think... So, and I'll just tell y'all right now, I'm a fan of keeping that tool in the toolbox. Physical discipline is something that, people did. I think 90% of Americans did back in like the up to the early 90s, and it's dropped to something like 60%, something like that. I believe that, and I can't find any data on this because no one's doing any studies on it, because I wonder why, right? The people who have their viewpoints aren't necessarily going to do research to discredit their viewpoints. But my belief is that a lot of the issues that we're seeing with kids today are actually due in part to this complete shift away from a parenting tool, a tool in the box that we've had for literally thousands of years, and now all of a sudden we're saying this is no longer acceptable, and we want to blame it. We want to blame the problems that kids are having on social media, as if there weren't other things, like kids getting bullied in other forms when they were, before social media came around. We're blaming everything but things that just kind of seem obvious to me. It's almost like the people who don't want to acknowledge that guns are killing kids. It's like, dude, they are. It's not video games. It's not movies. It's not TV shows. It's guns. And, and people's fear about doing something difficult, like, using physical discipline sparingly at times when it's necessary. I think that leads to a complete shift in the dynamic of parenting, where all you have to leverage is love, and that's great. But you know what? Sometimes, you need a little bit more than that. And the example that I use is, if the world were so easily tamed and everything were great and fine, and the U.S. could be loved just for our great food and culture and awesome personalities, then we wouldn't need a military, right? And I'm not saying that your kid is like a foreign country or whatever or an enemy combatant, but kids are people. They have their own desires of independence, and they need structure, and sometimes some kids do things that require something that reminds them to not do that. So from my experience, my dad never spanked me when he was angry. In fact, I found out that if I did something really, really bad that got him really, really upset, nothing would happen to me. Like, because he's like, I'm too mad. I'm literally too mad. I'm just gonna leave this alone. I'm like, oh wow. So go big or go home was what I learned. If I'm gonna do something, I need to do it big. Like throw mud balls over my neighbor's house big.
But then you paid for it later, right?
How?
Well, he didn't just not punish you, right? He just didn't punish you in the moment.
Can I just tell you, I don't remember, because I didn't get spanked. Like, I mean, maybe they took the video games away or something, but like, I know that I did something really egregious. Y'all, I covered our neighbor's house with mud balls. It was like a polka dot masterpiece. It was beautiful. It was
a work of art.
It was beautiful. And I jumped over their back fence and covered the back side of the house, and all sides of their house was covered in mud balls. And nothing, I got no spanking whatsoever because my dad...
Did you have to wash it off?
Oh yeah, I had to wash it off, but that was also kind of fun because it's like when you wash it off, there were still stains from the mud balls, so their house was just now like kind of polka dot, and it stayed like that for a long time. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So no, I think but I also think that using physical discipline is, you use it too much and it loses its power. It's like, because my dad, I would say that he probably did it too often. It was just every time like something, it was like a violation, and now I'm getting spanked. And I found myself turning it into like a game where I was like, okay, well, I'm going to show no emotion and not cry whatsoever. And like, I'm pretty sure it frustrated him. Like, it was like, cause he knew it wasn't working. And the thing is, like, it doesn't, after a while, it doesn't work. I mean,
so you have to be selective.
You have to be selective about it. And for the most part, I think that, it's a low creativity type form of discipline, but just because it's just because it's not, it's a dumb, basic kind of blunt tool doesn't mean it doesn't have value. A hammer is a stupid tool that's so basic, but it's hella useful. And like if you don't own a hammer, like you're kind of like, what are you doing? Like your toolbox is like broken. So I think it's kind of like the hammer. You kind of need the hammer, but it's not going to be a tool that you use often. And if you use the hammer everywhere, you've got holes in your walls, you've got like strip screws, you've got like, if you're trying to cut something with a hammer, like it's like janky edges. I don't know. I'm like going on all kinds of tangents here, but
yeah, I think the issue is that a lot of people had a really bad experience with it, because unlike what you're describing with your dad, where he wouldn't hit you if you were angry, I think a lot of people had the experience with this guy in here, where it's like the parent gets angry and they lash out. So it's like it's an emotional response instead of a controlled discipline response. And that is not great and can be like traumatic and create distrust between the parents and all that kind of thing, which I think this woman that's what she's trying to avoid. I think the other thing in here is like, I feel like this does a good job of illustrating the importance of having these kinds of conversations before you have a kid with somebody.
Yes.
Because like you don't want to be in a situation where suddenly your partner like gets angry and like spanks your kid or bites your kid in this case, which is just weird.
Well, he didn't suddenly do it. He said, "This is what I'm gonna do."
Yeah, but the fact that he was like he like really was wanting to like bite this kid.
Weirdo.
So yeah, I think that's really important to have those kinds of conversations before you have kids. And there's so much stuff that comes up with kids. Obviously, you can't have all of the conversations about every single scenario that's going to happen, but this seems like it's a fundamental conversation that should be had.
Absolutely. It was a conversation that we had beforehand, and as you can tell, like Gemma, she didn't think this was something she wanted to do.
I wasn't on the same page.
Not on the same page, not on board. And, to a certain extent, I think still is hesitant about it. And obviously we don't have to cross that bridge. Our child is one. So I don't see, and I look forward to coming up with all kinds of creative ways to discipline him. Like, I shouldn't say discipline him, but like help guide him into, a path where his behavior is aligned with what he wants to get out of life, right? Like it's like, this is not for me. Like, this is for you. I'm like, we talk about him getting upset when we change his diaper. I mean,
he hates getting
bro,
his diaper changed.
I'm just trying to help you not have poop all over yourself the rest of the day. Like, if it were up to me, I'd leave it here too. Like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm not interested in this. Like, I'm just doing what I have to do. And, so it's like, but you have to have those conversations, and so many people fail to have those conversations because they're afraid of what someone, is going to say or think or whatever. But what this woman wanted to know is like, well, what can I do? Well, here's the tough news for you and anyone else out there who didn't bother to have this conversation before. Absolutely nothing in a lot of places, at least a lot of places around the U.S. I mean, I can't speak on the laws everywhere, but for the most part, the way this thing works is, if it's legal to use physical force to discipline your kid, reasonable force to discipline your kid, then it doesn't require, two parties agreeing. It's like what happens in a partnership with a business where you're 50-50. Both have the equal power to unilaterally do a thing. Or I like to say in like copyright law, so in copyright law, I'm a lawyer, y'all. So with copyright law, if you got, say Gemma and I made a podcast together. Fun, right? We both own this podcast.
Yeah, we do.
Gemma can sell the rights to this podcast to whoever she wants without my permission whatsoever. And those rights are valid. I can't go and sue her over it. I can't do anything about it. So you got to make sure that when you make a podcast or a baby, that you're on the same page on how you're going to monetize it or discipline the baby. So, be careful about who you partner up with.
To do a podcast with.
Partner up with, yeah.
I think that this could be a good time for her to think about, okay, what other things did we not talk about that we probably need to talk about before they happen?
Yeah. Cell phones. When does a kid get a cell phone? I mean, he's only, 2 now, but I guess pretty soon that might come up. There's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
You know, is he going to, like, do you take him to church? I don't know. Anyway, it seems like she's left some serious things out, and probably should revisit some stuff.
Yeah.
We've talked about this one.
We've talked about this
quite some
a lot.
time.
Yeah.
So, in the interest of time,
yes,
your time, we're going to just say, hey, throw some comments in. Love to hear what you think. I'm sure a lot of you guys hate what I had to say.
Let us know. We want to hear it.
And I want to hear all about it. I mean, I've read the stuff, so I don't think it'll be anything new, but I mean, I look forward to hearing something new on this. Like people have their views on this. This one's a little controversial. So, yes. So let's see here. Next story, y'all. Oh. This next story is fun.
Yay.
So no controversy. Actually, this is kind of controversial. But it's
anything can be controversial when it comes to parenting.
Honestly, I think people, they turn everything. You can turn everything. I'll say something that someone's going to be upset about, I'm sure. Here we go. Someone said my baby looked like an actor known for being odd or ugly looking.
Oh my God.
This is a vent. I'm really upset. I know it shouldn't matter and babies do look weird, but it hurts my heart that someone doesn't see my perfect baby the way I do. He's 7 months, so it's not like he's got funny newborn looks or anything. I also hate using the word ugly because beauty is more than skin deep, but this person in particular is associated that way in roles they are given, etc. The grammar there. This is a problem with these online stories, but whatever. They photoshopped my baby's head into the body of that person and sent it to me in a group message where others laughed at it too.
Wow. I mean, I'm laughing, but like...
They are a good friend. I know it doesn't sound it, but they truly are, and did it because they thought it was funny. They weren't being mean deliberately, and if it was about me, I wouldn't care. We do have a friendship where we can make fun of each other, but I thought it would be obvious my baby is off limits. They don't have kids themselves, so maybe they don't realize how it feels. They've previously made comments about my baby's ear sticking out too. I told them at the time it was mean to say that. My baby is literally my most precious thing in the entire world, and I'm struggling to see the funny side of it. I'm probably being oversensitive. I just needed to vent. You want to start that?
So when we read this one earlier, the first question was, okay, who are they referring to? Like, which actor? So I think we need to like put up a picture and show who this is.
We will show a picture of the actor. What was his name? Tony Lay? Is that
Tony Lay, a British actor?
Yeah.
For all you Brits out there, I think he was in like some BBC shows. Very distinctive looking gentleman.
He looks like if like a human were Shrek, or like a human Shrek, or maybe ogre troll.
An ogre. Yeah. That's a good word.
Yeah. Or maybe like is British like to say the word oafish?
Oafish?
Oafish? Do you guys say that? An oafish type person? Like a
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so maybe not exactly.
Not as much.
All right, whatever.
But yeah, a troll.
Stereotypes of the British.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, there's angles on this because a lot of babies do look weird, right? There are some babies that look like, little old men and little aliens and stuff. And it's not something you should say to a parent, though. Like, right. I can't imagine, like, a friend of ours, like, saying something, like, photoshopping our child's head onto someone's butt. Like, that's kind of messed up.
Not my friends.
Yeah, that's messed up. I would be pissed and I would not feel very favorable towards that person. Like, it's the kind of thing like, oh, if you saw like it on the internet, if you saw a meme on Instagram or BuzzFeed or whatever, it would probably be funny if it's like someone else's baby. But if somebody says that to you about your baby, like that's off limits.
Yeah, I mean, if you sent a picture of this person, Tony Lay, side by side with a picture of my baby, then like that's about as far as you can go. But like you're gonna take my baby's head, you spent time photoshopping my baby's head on. It doesn't really take that much time, but still.
I think even a side by side, I would not be happy with that. Like
that is aggressive, yeah.
That's kind of messed up. And it's like, yeah, like we have a relationship where we make fun of each other, but yeah, that's like next level, like making fun of someone's baby to their face.
Yeah. I definitely don't have friends like that. I mean, I think I have friends who, I know people who make jokes, but then when they say something, then my response is something like just looking at them.
Not about our baby though, right?
Well, no, our baby is beautiful. So, I mean, no one's, and people don't spend enough time around our baby. Like, I mean, people say things about our baby that aren't like intended to be negative, but it's more like, you know, I'll give you an example of like weird stuff that people say about our baby that I think is, I don't love, but I'm not going to say anything about it because I don't really care what these people think anyway. So we'll be out, and most people, they'll have their baby out, and it's like they're out there for a little bit and the baby's freaking out, so they got to go. And so that's what everyone expects to happen. Like, expect to see you there and then you're gone. But when we're out, like, our baby's out with us and he's out the entire time. And, you know, sometimes he's a little agitated and he wants to break free or whatever. But for the most part, there's a way, we found ways to make it work where we are. It takes a little creativity, but it works. And then sometimes people who are observing will make comments like, oh yeah, your baby's so quiet. He's so chill and relaxed.
You're so lucky.
He's such a, yeah, this one guy was like, oh yeah, he's a philosopher. I'm like, you know, don't mistake good parenting for you understanding my baby's personality. Like, I'm sorry, but this child has the full capacity to clear this room with his violent screams and anger. I don't really, you know, you don't know my baby. Like, I don't want your assessments of like who he's going to be in the future. I do not care what you think. He's not like, whether he's he's a philosopher. Well, yeah, he's thoughtful and he's paying attention, but he also can get very, you know, chatty and loud and, you know, chaotic when he wants to. He's many things, just like every other person. It's like, you know, when we think about personalities and people are like, I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert or I'm an introverted extrovert. The reality is, like, we are different people in different circumstances. And guess what? Babies are the same way.
Yeah.
And so don't put me in a box. Don't put my baby in a box. Don't put my baby in the corner.
No one puts my baby in the corner.
Someone had this. I knew. Sorry, I should have let you say it. I didn't actually. She doesn't see many movies, so I didn't know if you were going to say it.
I mean, come on, it's a classic.
All right. Well. Anyway, that one's fun. We'll show you. Like, you saw the picture, the baby. I wish we'd seen the baby as well, but that would probably just break the internet. And ruin that kid's life. Yeah. One other thought: stop putting your pictures of your baby on the internet. Like
we actually need to talk about this in an actual whole podcast because there's a lot to discuss on that topic.
Yeah,
I think it's really interesting.
I am so tired of hearing people talk about consent in all these other circumstances. But like, back to what we were saying about, well, actually was it on this podcast or another one? It's all blurring together, y'all.
We are on episode 5 now.
We are on episode 5.
We've got quite the extensive back catalog.
So many. But, you know, we talked about, I'm totally drawing a blank now.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Talking about consent.
And
we were talking about the one at the grocery store with the guy that grabbed the kid and tried to kidnap him.
No. I'm thinking of, what it is, so the one where mother-in-law wanted to keep the baby overnight.
Oh.
And this whole concept of, you know, well, we're doing something to benefit us. So it's like, if anytime you're doing something and it's like the benefit, the bulk of the benefit goes to you, you know, kind of like, say if you were in like a business and like your partner got like 10% or you got 90%, putting pictures of your kid on the internet is like a 90-10 type situation for you versus your baby. Just like dumping your kid, your 1-year-old off with like the in-laws so you can go on a trip is a 90-10 kind of deal. It's not necessary. It serves you primarily, and it does so in a time of that kid's life where the kid is still developing. And if you and in the case of the photos, if the kid had a chance to like say, with full understanding and knowledge of what this means to have all their pictures on the internet, that kid would most likely say, please do not post my pictures online. Do not do that. Just think about like when you're out, this is usually women, but guys do it too. You take a picture and someone's like, oh, I love that picture. It's great. I'm going to put it on the internet right now. And then someone is like, don't you put that picture online or I'm going to kill you because I look ugly in that picture. You can't put one picture of your friend in an outing on the internet, but parents are like, I'm going to put them all. I'm going to put them all online.
Yeah.
Like how, huh? So there's an imbalance. There's some consent there. And if we want to talk about consent, let's talk about the consent of the child. Child can't give consent. So I don't know. Just rethink it, y'all. Anyway, no judgment, but just perspective. I'm not gonna, go on your post and flame you for posting pictures of your kid. I'm not gonna take pictures of your kid and Photoshop them on the bodies of ugly celebrities. What kind of monster does that?
Yeah, it's messed up. That's messed up.
Anyway,
last story.
Yes, last story. We kind of
went on a bit of a tangent there.
So drop your comments if you guys just hated that tangent. Let me know if you love it. Let me know. Promise to do better the next time if most hate it. But as I mentioned on the last episode, if you're in the minority, then
tough.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. Okay. Did you read that last one?
Yes, I read the last one. So
okay.
It's your turn.
My turn to read. I love reading. Reading Rainbow. I hope you people out there know about Reading Rainbow. Gemma grew up in England. They didn't have Reading Rainbow there. It's pretty tragic. Actually, I kind of hope that they're showing reruns of Reading Rainbow there now. Like maybe it's like in syndication and you guys are finally getting it.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'm going to go to England for the first time with my family, with the two British citizens of the house.
You're the token American.
Yeah, well, All right, here's the last story. It's a good one.
Let's go out with a bang.
Advice for fathers. I'm going to have a sip first, y'all.
Wet that whistle.
Advice for fathers. Hi, all. Here is a newly... Okay, he can't write well, but... Hi, all. Here is a newly dad sharing something... I'm tired of editing these people's posts. I like just reading them all confusing and chaotic the way they are. Hi, all. Here is a newly dad sharing something that will make your new parents' lives a lot easier, and this is for fathers mainly. Other than being the invisible helper that helps burp baby, wash clothes, etc., while your wife is resting/feeding/soothing the baby, the most important thing a father's job is to deflect all the annoying family members and their stupid ass requests. Both of your mothers are likely annoying as F, especially if it's their first grandkid. They will have a million weird-ass traditional old-school way of doing things, like feeding baby water, I don't even know what that means, or dumb S-word. This guy's cursing a lot. I'm trying to keep this clean. Dumb-ish like that. We used to say ish when I was a kid. Ish, because that's what they said on the radio. That's when they edited it. They will want to see baby 24/7. They will unknowingly make hurtful remarks to your wife like, oh, I think baby not getting enough milk. I think baby not getting enough milk. Okay. While it seems innocent, remember your wife's hormone is through the roof first few weeks.
That one hormone. Going crazy.
Our job is to shut those shit down as soon as they happen.
What is wrong with this people?
Or about to happen. Man, this is great. I mean, our education system is something else, y'all.
Yeah, that's another podcast.
Send a text to both your families. Let them know the boundaries. Intercept their visit and don't give in. Shut them down if they start to complain. I know sometimes standing up to our parents or in-laws are scary, but we, the fathers, need to grow a spine and defend our wives. Yeah. I can guarantee you this will make your new parents' lives a lot easier and vastly improve you two's relationship. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And then I'm going to read I'm not going to read the edit. Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that like, I think that this kind of goes back to I feel like we've had this conversation probably on another podcast where it's like, there's this idea that there's nothing for the dad to do initially, and it's like this guy thinks that he's like found the one thing, and it's like, yeah, that's an important thing, but there is so many other things that a dad can do with a newborn. Like it is not just that, like, you know, like cooking food, like making sure everyone's, you know, eating, bathing the baby, like feeding the baby if there's like, you know, a bottle feed situation, like putting the baby to sleep, doing laundry. I mean, there's just so much stuff, right, to do.
Yeah. Planning. Just
planning. Yeah.
Reading
like
books to learn about things that you need to be doing next.
Yeah. And then there's like, you know, the physical stuff, like, you know, setting up all the stuff for the baby. You know, when you have a newborn, I feel like if you're anything like us, you're constantly like on Amazon, like looking for new stuff, trying to figure it out. Like there's constantly boxes coming, things need to be put together, things need to be sent back, taken back to the post office, whatever. Like there's a lot going on, like, and it's all of the just everyday, like kind of mundane stuff that is life that needs to be done. And there's a huge opportunity for dads to like help with all of that, as well as spending time with their kid and bonding with their kid. So, you know, I think this guy's like kind of onto something, in that he's like, you know, it's great that he like wants to do something and he thinks that he can do this, but like the scope of what he can actually do is so much greater than what he's saying here.
Yeah. Now, I will say that this is a very popular post, and the reason for that, I believe, is because so many men, husbands, are just bad at defending their wives in general. So it's like, this is you talk about advice for fathers. This is advice just for husbands. Like, my parents, or literally anyone else, if you've got something negative to say about my wife, they know not to say it to me. It's like, don't say it to me. Like, you say that behind my back or something, because if you say it to my face, like, we're going to have a conversation that you're not going to enjoy. And when I say not going to enjoy, not like I'm going to yell at you, but like, you're going to feel like, you know, I just kind of, what it's like when the kid gets like a stern talking to from his parent. Like, I don't want my mom to feel like I'm treating her, you know, like my child or whatever, or, you know. But like, the thing is, there's a lot of people out there who really do spend a lot of energy caring what other people think. I know a lot of people who, you know, they meet a girl or they're about to get married, and it's like, what do you think about her? Like, what do you think? I think she could be the one. Like, what do you think? You know how many times I've asked someone what do they think about someone I'm with? 0. Because I don't care. It does not matter what you think. I'm the one that has to live with this person. Like, so the moment that someone starts to like throw in like their unsolicited advice or feedback, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm fine. I want to learn. I mean, I am a learner. Top 5 strengths. One of my top 5 strengths is learner. But like, if you're just judging the way we're doing it, it's like, oh, I don't like the way you're doing it. Well, hey, I could see if we were just doing something dangerous or idiotic, but if we're doing something according to a plan that we worked out, and you're trying to persuade me to do something differently, you know what? Nah, let's just don't do that. So I agree that you have to step in and defend. I think that it should start before you have a baby, though. I don't know. And then when it comes to, a lot of the commenters, actually, there were a lot of commenters that said, they feel useless. They feel like they don't matter. So I think it's interesting because, we've talked about how a lot of guys will tell other guys, well, it doesn't really matter. Like the first few years, like you're not really super relevant. But when I heard people talk about it, it was more along the lines of like, oh, you get to like, not have to work as much on the parenting thing. But there are also guys out there, apparently, I didn't realize this, who feel left out a bit. And yeah, you don't have to feel left out. You can be more involved. And as we've found out from another story in one of our other episodes, sometimes, which I will link to, because that's what I'm supposed to do.
Oh.
I'm supposed to link to that video.
Some advanced podcasting there,
Yeah,
guys.
I will link to this. There was a woman who like literally would not let her husband soothe their baby.
Yeah.
Baby falls down, he's crying, and it's like, nope, I'm gonna be his center of the universe when it comes to safety. And it's like, first of all, you have it backwards. Your husband hopefully is like the start of the safety, right? Because as
protector.
Yeah, I mean, and I know like a lot of women are like, oh, I don't need to protect her, but as we found out in on the last episode,
Are you gonna link to it?
I mean, there's too many links here. But as we found out in the last episode, people will literally try to walk up to you and kidnap your kid. But the thing is, that will never happen if your husband's there. The stories where women experience someone trying to kidnap their kid right in front of their face in public, that's not happening with a strong man present. Period.
That reminds me of that video that we saw about the convicted child molester guy who had been in prison for like 25 years, and he got out and he did a podcast interview with somebody who was saying, how do you pick your victim? And the first thing he said was like, I look for single moms when the dad, if the dad isn't around, or if the dad is like disengaged, those are the people and the kids that he targets.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah, they're looking for weak points. And I don't want to call single moms weak because, that job of parenting is hard. I cannot imagine doing it on my own as a man, let alone as a woman. But the reality is there are some creeps out there, and as I said before, we're not going to win the day with just love alone. Like we got to have some balance. Like love and kindness and caring is nice to have, but also you got to have at least the potential for some pain, the threat of the possibility of pain. So anyway, so any other thoughts on that?
No, I think that was a good one. Good one to end on.
Yeah, but great job, this dad and his poor grammar. We salute you, sir, and all the other new parents out there. So thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate y'all's support.
We do. Please subscribe. Please like. Please comment. Tell us what you think. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Hey, if it's like, hey, Otis, like you could like plus up your energy levels, or no, I'm just talking.
I wouldn't know what you were gonna say about me.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't be anything other than myself. So it's gonna be one of those things like, well, these type of people don't like me. Like I noticed a drop in our viewership in the UK.
Oh.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's because I made jokes before.
Oh, you did make the joke about Piers Morgan.
I did, and we had a drop. I don't know if like YouTube just knew I was like offending British people, but yeah, we had a drop. It went down from like 10% to like 5.5%. Yeah.
Okay, to my fellow Brits, we need you. We love you. We want you.
I tell you what, half these stories are from British people. So the British people, we're finding these stories on Reddit, and British people are really out there on Reddit. Like they're doing the most. That could be good or bad, y'all. For anybody who doesn't know what that means. Depends. Anyway, yeah, thanks for
All
tuning
right.
in.
Thank you. We'll
yeah.
talk to you next week.
See you soon. Peace.
Bye.
Pew, pew.